Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Riley, and in this video I'm just going to be talking about a little bit about gun control, gun-free zones, and I'm going to talk about basically everything that's been happening, lately with the mass shootings and all that. So I just kind of want to give my opinion out, put it out there. This is, again, my opinion. Take it for what you will, and if you disagree with me, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section and let me know. Maybe you have a better opinion or another solution to what I'm talking about. So guys, just like I said, this is just my opinion, and I just want to talk about a couple subjects here. First of all, I want to talk about gun-free zones. So I personally myself don't really agree that a gun-free zone is a good idea, because if you look at it, all a gun-free zone generally is an invisible line or a sign that someone posts on a door that tells people they cannot, carry a firearm into that section, into that area. That same sign allows other people to know, people with malicious or bad intentions, to know that no one in that zone has a gun. So I was reading an article the other day that was saying we protect all these important areas like banks, court justice systems, celebrities, pretty much anything important is guarded with a gun. But what do we do for, our school system? We post, we put up a sign that says this is a gun-free zone. And then what do we do if there's a shooter? We call someone, the police, that come and have guns. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all why there are gun-free zones. And now a lot of people will argue the fact that, hey, there's not enough money in the school's budget to pay for security. It'll cost too much to have armed security there. And honestly, I really don't think that's the truth. I think there's ways around that. I know there's people always willing to volunteer. There's loads and loads of veterans that have, they have military experience, they have firearm training, they have firearms, and they have concealed carry license, and they're retired, so they don't have anything to do with their time. And I'm sure loads of them are willing to volunteer to go and be security at some of these schools, because a lot of people, that's what they do. They do, neighborhood watches. They patrol and all that. And I mean, if we could get some of these veterans, especially, ones with like military experience, that have nothing better to do, if we could get some of those guys to volunteer as security officers in schools, that would eliminate a huge threat. And I mean, if these veterans already have combat experience, they actually know how to, operate a gun. They know how to respond to a threat. So I think that would, number one, solve a big problem. Number two, it would not cost much, if anything, because they would be volunteers. So it literally would not cost any money. So I think that volunteer system really would add an extra layer of security to the whole school systems. And I think it would be very wise to get rid of gun-free zones. I mean, there's the gun-free zones at theaters, movie theaters. There was recently a shooting, I think it was in Aurora, Colorado, at a movie theater. Obviously, no one in that theater probably had a gun, so they couldn't defend themselves. There's obviously, schools are a big gun-free zone area, so if we could get rid of gun-free zones in schools, that would also be, a really big improvement. And the reason I say that is because, I mean, just think, obviously most schools, not everyone has a gun. I mean, when I'm speaking about teachers and faculty, not everyone has a gun, but the truth of the matter is there's bound to be one or two teachers that, maybe have a concealed carry permit and they do have a firearm, or maybe the principal does, or someone else. And even if we had one or two people per school, teachers, that did have concealed carry permits with a firearm, that would greatly increase the likelihood of stopping a mass shooting or school shooting to happen. And I think I read in the news the other day, a couple of the teachers at the school in Florida actually were concealed carry permit holders and did have guns, but obviously because schools are gun-free zones, they weren't able to have them on them at the time. So I just think it's really sad that all those people had to die because, there's an invisible line saying, hey, you can't have a gun there. And me, I'm a college student. I'm at a university, and I feel like most university students would feel better if they were at a gun-free zone, did not have a gun-free zone on their campus, because honestly, the fact of the matter is if there's no police on the campus, then the likelihood of people being able to respond effectively in a mass shooting or a school shooting on a campus is very slim. And obviously, when a shooting happens, you have maybe 5 to 10 minutes until the police get there. And 5 to 10 minutes, lots of people can be killed or injured. And so that's, obviously we don't want that. So it is my personal opinion that gun-free zones are a joke. Lots of problems can be avoided if we get rid of gun-free zones. And the logic behind it just does not make sense. Like why? Okay, for instance, there's all these celebrities saying that, oh, they hate guns, they want to ban guns from everybody. Look at their security guards are carrying guns, and, if people really think that our children are so important, why do they want to ban security from the schools, Like, if our children are so important, why are we putting up signs that say, no guns on this premises? Yet, if we go to a bank, there's armed guards there. We travel to say, I don't know, I'm just trying to give out some examples, but, say we're going to a sporting event. It's in a pretty big thing, it's an important event. Well, you just have to, you're likely to see armed guards there, security, police. Our children in our schools not that important to not have that kind of security? Because I just want you to think about that, if you're summoned to court, obviously if you're in court in front of the judge, there's security guards there with guns, or most likely police officers in the courtroom and around the building. Because we obviously know that the courthouse is a fairly important place. But are schools not as important as the courthouse? Are those kids' lives not as important as the jury, the judge, and everyone else in the courthouse? By my thinking, it's kind of like, obviously the answer is yes. The kids are as important or more important than those people's lives. Because the reason why I said more, because obviously kids haven't been able to live their lives to the fullest. They're still children, they're still developing. So I would put their importance of life above older people that have already, lived a full, long life. And I'm pretty sure many people would agree. So I think the safety of children in schools should be at the top of the list, not at the bottom. Don't put these signs that say these are gun-free zones, because all that's going to happen is someone's going to walk up to there and Almost anyone already has that knowledge that schools are gun-free zones. And someone with harmful intentions is going to say, hey, look, a perfect opportunity. I can stroll on into this school with my weapon and shoot everybody up, and no one's going to stop me because no one here has a gun. That's just the worst logic that I can think of. The shooter that goes to the school is not gonna see that sign and say, "Oh, this is a gun-free zone. I need to go put my guns back in my car and drive away." He doesn't give a crap about that. That same shooter does not care about any gun laws at all. So whether you're talking about banning guns in general, whether you're talking about banning bump fire stocks or banning large capacity magazines, that shooter, I 100% guarantee you, that shooter does not care about any of those laws. If you were to ban 30-round capacity magazines, bump fire stocks, AR-15s, that same criminal is not going to care. He can go on the black market for all he cares and get his AR-15 illegally and untraceable. So with he doesn't care. So why would he care about a sign that says this is a gun-free zone? He won't. That's why I think gun-free zones are so ridiculous, because they're invisible lines and they just make it easier for predators to prey on innocent children and people that are they're defenseless. I mean, how are you going to defend yourself against an AR-15 if all you have is your hands? It's stupid. You can't. Now, I know I've been rambling on, but I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. And like I said, if you don't agree with anything I've said, then leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my thoughts are totally, illogical and not right. But from what I've gathered, I think I'm correct with what I'm saying. And I do think some things need to change. And just ask yourself now, all these school shootings, can you imagine if 4 or 5, 6 or 7, 8 or 9, 10 teachers in the school were legally concealed carry holders? The one I think football coach that got shot because he was defending his kids using his body as a shield. What if he had his gun on him? When the shooter came, he was able to eliminate the shooter instead of having himself sacrificed for the kids. I'm not saying what he did, it wasn't heroic in any way. I think it's amazing what he did, but what if he didn't have to do that? What if he could have ended the threat right there and then? Or going back to originally what I said, what if there were volunteer security officers, that maybe are veterans that have nothing better to do with their time, so they volunteer their time to guard schools. And obviously they could do it undercover. They don't have to wear a shiny yellow jacket that says security officer, I have a gun on. They could just be undercover, maybe sitting in the office or walking around the school dressed as like a teacher, and they would conceal carry. No one would know they have a gun. And if something did happen out of the ordinary, they would be able to respond to the threat. I think it would be good if schools or communities or cities, whatever, got together and formed these groups of people that were willing to work as security officers, assuming that eventually gun-free zones will be dropped. I don't know how many more school shootings or mass shootings will take place until people start realizing that gun-free zones aren't the answer, And I mean, I just want to throw out a couple more examples. We can use the same example on your house. So say on your house, would you feel comfortable if you had a big sign on your front door that said, "This is a gun-free home," to me, that's just an invitation for robbers and criminals to come into my house and rob me and steal my stuff because they know I have no guns. You know, and obviously, what are the police going to do? They can't do anything until they arrive. The police are effective, but they're not able to magically teleport to your location in 5 seconds. So all these people that are for gun-free zones and think we should keep gun-free zones, I want to ask them if they would feel comfortable with putting a huge sign on the front door or somewhere on their house, very visible, that says, "This is a gun-free home. There are no guns in this home." And you know what? I guarantee the answer would be no, because all that does is attract attention and attract unwanted people to the house because they know there's no guns there to stop them. All the criminals, there's no guns there to stop them from doing what they will in that house. Now, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. If you have a different opinion, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section. Now, before you leave a comment, one of the things that are most annoying is when people say something and then you already talked about it, they just didn't watch your whole video. So listen to this whole thing before you make a comment and then leave a comment. Let me know if you agree with what I've said or if you disagree or if there's some things you would change. Please just drop me a comment. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and please give me a thumbs up. I think I've hit around the 50 video mark, so I have lots of other videos for you guys to watch. So thanks for checking out my channel and have a great day.